Hi, I'm Michelle Adubato. The North Ward Center is committed to educating the public about the importance of community programs that give all New Jersey residents a chance for a better life. That's why we're proud to support the important educational programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by St. Joseph's Health, a passion for healing. It's what's inside us. Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey. Suez, ready for the resource revolution. New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation. The Turl Fund, supporting right from the start NJ, the North Ward Center. And by Community Food Bank of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ.com. Small news, big news, true Jersey. And by Observer New Jersey Politics.
This is One-on-One.
I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this.
You
got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that. Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to One-on-One. We're here at the WNET, the Tisch WNET studio. I can get that. I just had an Oreo cookie. I'll admit that. All right, that's what's going on. But more importantly, we have Kamilah Forbes, who is executive producer of the Apollo Theater, originally from beautiful Chicago, Illinois. And I'm here. Tell folks what's going on at the Apollo and why it's so important.
Well, there's a lot going on at the Apollo. You know, a lot of people don't realize that we're more than just a historic institution. We are a living, breathing, performing arts center that's vibrant, that has programming going on all throughout the year, multidisciplinary program, high-quality program, and program that really says something, right? And that's really kind of what we're been focused on, particularly this past season. This past season, we've been focused on, focusing on issues that say something about the world around us, and also speaking to a younger generation.
For example?
Our season opened up with a piece called "We Shall Not Be Moved," which was an opera, ironically so, at the Apollo, with some dynamic creators. Bill T. Jones was the director choreographer. The librettist was Mark Bamuti Joseph, and the composer was Daniel Bernard Romain. But it was an opera that was inspired by the events of the 1985 bombing that happened in Philadelphia.
That's right.
Around the MOVE organization. And so they kind of took that moment of inspiration and refashioned it in a contemporary context.
Do you mind if we see a clip from it?
Absolutely.
What's it called again?
And it's called "We Shall Not Be Moved."
And we're going to see a clip right now.
Fluid tender, my spirit is casting the full, the flow from right to wrong, might mean making somebody's song a stain on the sidewalk.
Who was that young man?
It's John Holiday. And
what a voice.
He is such a dynamic star, passionate singer, passionate performer.
You know, the Apollo, people think they know, right? Because they've seen some things on television. They've seen The Rock. They've
seen The Rock. They've seen Amateur Night, right? Which still runs today. Since 1935, every single Wednesday at 7:30 is Amateur Night.
Describe for folks what happens that night.
So what happens that night? It is an American Idol like you've never seen, right?
Real.
It is the original. Competition show. It's the original competition show that's been happening since 1935. And we've got folks not just from New York City, but folks who fly in internationally to compete on the Apollo stage. Repeat folks coming from Japan, a lot of folks from Asia, from Europe, from the continent in South America, and as well from around the country.
But it's not like the audience participates, right?
The audience, exactly.
How engaged In quotations, you got that? How engaged is the Apollo audience in this night?
The Apollo audience is that fourth character, right? You cannot have a performance at the Apollo without the Apollo audience. That's part of the magic.
That's right.
They're part of the performance. They're just as much engaged as the person singing, whether you are hitting those high notes or not.
Will they let you know?
They will let you know, and they're there with you.
Your background.
My background.
It's interesting because our producers were saying this as we're getting ready for the show, that as extraordinary as the Apollo's history, the legacy of the Apollo is, hip-hop,
Yeah.
part of your orientation, I don't know, orientation, ridiculous word, moving the Apollo more toward hip-hop, if you will?
Yeah, that's
Talk
right.
about it.
Moving the Apollo towards more hip-hop and towards a more contemporary audience, right? And a younger audience, an audience base. That's a big part of my background and what I'm attracted to and my part of my foundation, but also has been a part of the Apollo history for a while, right? I mean, artists like Jay-Z and Big Pun have got their start on the Apollo stage at events like Amateur Night. So for us, it's just about how can we be more intentional about that. So, most recently, we worked with artists like, we had a presentation with Afropunk, which right now I think is a huge music festival, but movement that has been happening based here in New York City. And we collaborated with them around an event called Unapologetically Black. And it was celebrating...
Unapologetically Black.
Celebrating the African American Songbook. And it was curated by Robert Glasper, who sits in sort of the jazz hip-hop world, collaborates a lot with folks like The Roots and Common and Erykah Badu. And this evening he was focused on kind of reimagining the African American Songbook with the revived big band, right? And also with folks from TV on the Radio and Jill Scott. So it was a really interesting
Jill
mix.
Scott.
Yeah, she's a fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
She's fantastic.
Beyond the entertainment, beyond the music, as a cultural institution, the Apollo is?
The Apollo is a cultural institution and also a gathering place, right? We've been a gathering place since its formation as being sort of the heart of Harlem. So when significant events happen, not only in New York City, but around our country, the passing of significant folks in the African American entertainment industry, the passing of Michael Jackson,
That's right.
of Prince, folks congregate.
That's where they go.
Under the marquee of the Apollo.
That's where folks go.
That's exactly where folks go. When James Brown passed away, he made it a mandate that I want my body to be laid to rest at the Apollo Theater because that is my home. And that's how artists see it. They see it as a home, a place where they can feel safe, a place where they feel welcome, a place where they feel heard. And that's what the Apollo always has been. And that's what it always will be as we take it into sort of this next generation.
Let me further chat real quick. Educational programs as well, go.
Absolutely, educational programs. So our educational program is quite rich. We focus on career and workforce development. And what that means is we don't necessarily just focus on training the next singer or artist. We focus on training all those folks behind the scenes. Who are the folks making the magic happen? The designers, the producers, the stagehands, the lighting designers, the lighting tech, the stage managers. That's who we're training. And our program is entitled the Apollo Theater Academy, and we get applicants from all over the city, high school age students, and they cycle up into our Young Producers Club and also into our internship program.
Real quick, Uptown Hall is?
Yep, Uptown Hall is a gathering place around civic arts and ideas. It's basically a monthly place, a gathering place of ideas to be exchanged, panel discussions.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I would be remiss. You mentioned the folks behind the scenes here at WNET. At the Tisch WNET studio here in Lincoln Center. If it were not for the folks behind the scenes, camera people, lighting people, people who manage all kinds of things, audio, Frank, our incredible sound guy, and so many other people here, without them, we would never be able to do what we do. So they never get enough credit, and unlike some of us, they don't seek it. So thank you so much for joining us, and all the best with you and your colleagues at the Apollo.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll be right back right after this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato Ph.D. and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. I am here in beautiful Atlantic City at the Atlantic City Convention Center. It's the 164th annual New Jersey Education Association Convention. We'll be talking to all sorts of important, interesting, and relevant people in the world of education. I'm pleased to welcome Steve Beatty, Secretary Treasurer, of the NJEA. Good to see you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having me.
For those who do not know what the Secretary Treasurer's job of the New Jersey Education Association, you're at a cocktail party. I don't know if you drink or not, but you would say?
I'm the Secretary Treasurer, and no one knows what that is. True enough. But basically, there's three responsibilities. As the Treasurer, I'm in charge of taking care of the budgetary issues and the fiscal responsibilities, and that as Secretary, taking notes of the meetings. But I'm also part of the leadership team. And there's 5 of us: the President, Vice President, myself, and then 2 of our directors that basically form the leadership team and make a lot of the decisions and working with the management staff to decide the course of events for the association.
You've been teaching for 24 years. Why'd you get into it?
I was born to be a teacher. I mean, that's perhaps kind of trite to say or corny, but I remember being in 3rd grade and sitting there with my teacher, Ms. Zane, and thinking, boy, that'd be so awesome to be the teacher. All the free chalk you could ever want, and the charge of who goes to the bathroom, and it just took the path I went in. I went to Rutgers, I went to the education school, and I never looked back.
The thing you love most about teaching, what is it?
Being with the kids. I mean, the profession over my 24 years has definitely changed a lot in terms of the other things besides being in the classroom. But I always said that no matter what's going on a certain day, you close that door and it's like mental sorbet. The kids, and I've been lucky. I mean, where I am in Bridgewater, Raritan, we've had great kids, been a great staff, great colleagues, to have that kind of opportunity. But being with the kids every day, it's fun. It's why I got up early to do that.
Well, Steve, let me ask you something. I'm always curious. We have our kids, particularly our younger kids, in public schools. What do you think most students in the grades you teach are?
High school.
High school. So it's the entire experience, 4 years. What do you think most high school students are looking for from their teacher?
It's a good question, and it's interesting enough because yesterday we had a great session with a panel of high school students down here. And they said the things that really we take to heart, that they want teachers to be real, to be authentic, to teach them with respect, to open up to them and show them that they're as vulnerable as they can be, to realize that we're there for them. And, that plays off because, my first year teaching experience, I actually taught in an alternative school in Westfield in Union County.
Tell folks what that means.
The alternative school there was actually a high school within the high school. Westfield High School, Westfield's an affluent area, but there were about 120 kids that were identified as being at risk for whatever reason. And these weren't from, the traditional, what you think is at-risk students. They were from well-to-do homes in some cases or some not, but these are students that didn't see the value of education, maybe dropped out, issues with substance abuse perhaps in some, and here I was, a young guy, literally out of college, 23 years old, and I thought, this is going to be, I'm going to light the world on fire. These kids are going to love me, and the first day was not like that. They really gave me a little bit of a wake-up call that I had to be authentic, and I carry that experience. Even
give of yourself?
Give of myself, just not try to put on an air and say I'm going to be everything for all right from the beginning. It was a process. I got to know them. They got to know me. We earned each other's respect. And even though I was only there for 6 months, it's an experience that I take with me everywhere I go, just being an authentic person, working to the best of your abilities and trying to just, earn people's trust and respect.
Curious about this, Steve. I've often talked, by the way, we've been down here many years. As part of our production team, we come down to talk to educators, leaders of the NJEA, people who contribute to this convention in the worlds of science and technology, innovation, education reform. What I'm curious about is, what do you think the biggest misconception about educators is? On the part of some.
On part of some. Part of some is some think that we have an easy job, that it's, banker's hours, summers off, that, we kind of get a free ride in some cases, and nothing could be further from the truth. The teachers that I know, the education support professionals that I know, that I've worked with over these years, I've been fortunate enough to come to know as good friends through the association as well, are all dedicated, hardworking individuals. The clock never stops, whether you're emailing or phone calls with parents, whether you're grading papers or working on lesson plans, you're going to workshops on your own time. It's an all-in investment.
Steve, I'm sorry for interrupting, Steve.
That's right.
He just reminded me of something. One of our sons happens to be in a public school in Montclair right now, and I emailed his teacher. We're here at the convention, and so students have off on Thursday and Friday. On Wednesday, before I actually emailed one of his teachers, I'm not going to say who or the topic, the subject, because we were concerned about something.
Sure.
And today, while that teacher is off, I saw an email this morning from that teacher saying, Mr. Adubato, anytime you want to talk about your son, and it struck me, that teacher is technically not working in the classroom,
sure.
but sent that email. Typical?
It is typical. It is typical. And, you know, we're dedicated people. I mean, the members, the professionals that make up, you know, the New Jersey Education Association, and by and large, educators nationwide,
Sure.
That's what we do, and we're there for the students. You know, teachers give of their own money, hundreds of dollars every year for school supplies. They give of their own time, volunteering everywhere they can and anywhere they can to be there for their students. And that's part of the calling. I mean, people that get into this for the right reasons are the ones that are going to email you no matter what day or night it is to make sure that you get the information you need.
Final question, Steve. Number one item on the agenda in 2018 for the New Jersey Education Association with a new governor, Phil Murphy, would be?
We need to get some relief from Chapter 78 and make sure that the schools are funded properly.
Chapter 78
Chapter 78
is
is a law that was passed now going on 7 years ago, that makes it, you know, a heavy burden for so many of our members to have to pay increasing costs for their health care. That people see their paychecks every year. Even though they may be getting an increase in salary, their paychecks have gone down and down and down. So
Right.
we're very concerned about that. We want to make sure that, you know, no one got into the teaching profession to make themselves rich. We want to make sure that people can have a living wage and be here for the right reasons to continue to be in the classrooms and the hallways.
I assure you we'll cover that and a whole range
sure.
of other issues, particularly on our series. Check out our website. State of Affairs is our public affairs program on public broadcasting and FiOS and NPR as well. But I want to thank you so much for joining us and
Thank you,
wish you
Steve.
all the best.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato Ph.D. and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Steve Adubato coming to you from Rowan University. We're pleased to welcome Dr. Rouzbeh Nazari, who is Assistant Professor, Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Rowan University, and also Director of the Resiliency Lab at Rowan. Good to see you, Doctor.
Thanks for having me.
Talk about the Resiliency Lab. What is it and why does it matter?
So the Resiliency Lab is the work that we're doing on a project from the state of New Jersey, and this came about after Sandy. So resiliency,
2012 Sandy?
2012 Sandy. And resiliency, the ability to recover and withstand the storms and go back to normal operation. And that is our goal for the future. We want to make a system that is ready to tolerate the storm and also recover from, go back to the normal operation. So the goal of Resiliency Lab is help the people of New Jersey at 3 stages: before, during, and after. What are the resources they need to have? What are the preparations that they need to have? And during a storm, how to get out of the area, and after, how to come back and go back to their normal life.
Doctor, let's take a look at this. Behind us, what we're looking at is Long Beach Island, right?
That is correct.
What is this? What does it show us? And what does it have to do with, if in fact there's a storm, what the folks in and around Long Beach Island, the decision makers, municipal officials, what they would have to do to prepare?
So as I said, this is going to help people in preparation. One of the things is before a storm, you want to come to this system like this to look at where you are. What are the available, basically, resources next to you? How the storm is going to approach and hit your community. And the important information is what is the level of flood? That means how deep the flood is going to be around your property. All right, that's a great question. So we have access to models that can predict this information. We take the ocean energy based on the available information from the soil type, elevation, type of structures, age of the structure, and a lot of other factors that goes into it. We can predict that how much of water you're going to have and where is it going to be, what available resources are going to be destroyed, or they're going to survive and be available after a storm. So this is actually a good resource for not only just people, but also municipalities to see what is going to be their scenarios and prepare in advance. If you have one specific bridge that is going to serve your community and there is a chance of failure, you want to make sure that you start your evacuation hours before a storm, before even the storm
Instead of when it's too late.
In storm, yeah, exactly.
Is it often too late in storms the way people get information and then they give it, oh, let's get out of here now because there's a problem? You're saying this is a tropical storm, right? So you're adjusting based on the storm. We're seeing more and more, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking. We have a home in Lavallette, New Jersey. The next town over, Ortley Beach, was devastated by Superstorm Sandy, particularly on certain streets. Are you saying that this technology could show us which streets in Ortley Beach would have been more vulnerable?
That is the whole goal. As you see on the other side, as the storm is coming up.
This is tropical hurricane.
The tropical storm that is coming up. Different storm level, you're going to see what roads are going to be available, what are the roads that are going to go offline. So the challenge is to...
Offline meaning?
Offline, that means they're not going to be available. They're going to be flooded during the storm. So the challenge is to allow people to see this and understand that if they act late, what is going to be the possible scenario? And based on this information, we still want to help people that even they act late to be able to get out of this area. So that's why we have available evacuation maps that they could look up and get themselves out of the area safely. But the challenge here is to make sure that people have access to such data sets that they can use in advance and prepare accordingly. As you said, some areas that are more vulnerable than the other one. The fact that, the town next door has been safe all the time or the past storm, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same scenario now.
So hold on one second, because I don't want to make this about Lavallette or Ortley Beach or that area of Ocean County, because the Jersey Shore is a huge area, if you will, on the East Coast in New Jersey. But it did strike me that in the town we were in, the damage wasn't as bad as the next town over, and I couldn't figure out why. You're saying, without belaboring this point, that this technology would help us understand how many days before that Ortley Beach is more vulnerable. By the way, it could be Ortley Beach, could be Point Pleasant, could be whatever. How many days before would you know this? Would municipal officials know it?
So here's the thing. People actually can have access to different scenarios of a storm category 1 to category 4.
You mean citizens or municipal officials?
This is available to everyone. The system that we are building, NJ Flood Alert, is going to be
NJ Flood Alert
is going to be available to everyone. And these maps are made easy that you don't need to have a huge computer background to understand this. These are very easy to understand. You can go access it and look at your property and look at the flood depth around your property and also get some recommendations in terms of what is it that you need to have. If your flood is in minor location, minor area, maybe having a sump pump and a flood insurance is good enough. But if you are a higher risk area, there are certain recommendations that applies to you that you need to pay attention.
So let me ask you this, what I'm curious about. Is you're also partnering, Doctor, with municipal governments. So are municipal governments coming to you saying, listen, we don't have this technology, we don't know how to do this stuff, but we have to protect our citizens. Is that how it happens?
That is a great question. When we put this project together, we sat down with 35 municipalities and asked them, what is it that you need to have to help people during, after, and even prior to the storm? And they said that we do have this need of having access to data, maps, the locations that they are basically at high risk. Currently, we don't have it and it's not available to us.
Does the entire state of New Jersey have this right now?
So right now, this is going to be available for entire New Jersey at a lower resolution, meaning that we don't have all that detailed information about the specific properties, but we do have it for towns. But for 2 towns, which are the main study area, that is Woodbridge Township, and the other one is Brick Township.
Hold on, Brick?
And Woodbridge.
Woodbridge, go ahead.
They're going to have high-resolution information about the specific properties, the risk associated to it. That means this is tailored to citizens and also to the municipalities. Hopefully, with the project going forward, we will have it for the entire state of New Jersey.
So it's so interesting. Woodbridge, if I'm not mistaken, is in central New Jersey in Middlesex County. And the other community, Brick. Why those 2 different communities?
So there are 2 different scenarios. One of them is sitting right on the ocean, and you have the storm surge.
That's Brick.
Brick. And then for Woodbridge, you have an interesting scenario that you have riverine. They're close to a large body of water, and you have the impact of river going up.
Is that the Raritan?
That's Raritan River. So one of the things that we wanted to do, we wanted to cover the 2 sides, the impact of the ocean and inland water, so that it's going to be a prototype, basically example for the entire state if you're going to move forward.
One more quick thing about Woodbridge. I don't want to break this down too much, but if anyone who's been driving in New Jersey and you know the Garden State Parkway and the Turnpike and Route 1, the thing about Woodbridge is many highways intersect. Am I making too much of that?
Absolutely. You have a lot of main junctions. So the challenge is you have cascading events. You have some roads that are more important than others because a lot of the other roads lead to that certain point. If you have those junctions go offline, as I said, that means they get flooded, then you have a very different scenario. So as a part of this study, we are looking at all the possible scenarios of evacuation if certain roads basically become flooded. And the goal is for a lot of people that want to get out of the storm, and they want to be early, or even they want to act late, there is a path for them to move out of the area safely.
Dr. Nazari, the information you have provided is so valuable. More important, people can talk about global warming in the abstract, but the reality is, it seems to me it's common sense, that having this information beforehand and be able to make the smartest decisions to protect us and everyone around us is so important, and that's the work you're involved in. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by St. Joseph's Health, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Suez, New Jersey Sharing Network, the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, the Northward Center, and by Community Food Bank of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Zalkin. It costs much more to care for an infant than for an older child, and many New Jersey child care centers don't have the funding they need. Because of this, many children in New Jersey don't have their basic needs met. Right from the Start NJ is dedicated to supporting this vulnerable population, children from birth to age 3. We know that the early years are the most critical, and we believe that every child deserves a bright beginning and a healthy future.